Hanuman. Ooh. So, we have Lolo, we have Tutu, we have Tata, the peanut in the pocket, the birds of paradise, the crocodiles, and the monkey god. I mean, 18% of Americans don't want to elect a Mormon, but the kid who grew up worshiping Hanuman, the demon-fighting monkey god, is our president. Wow. We really are bigoted, aren't we? Monkey god. This is a pretty incredible American success story, unlike any other success story I've ever heard. And I could stop there, and I think you'd even be more impressed than you were when I showed you the alligators, the crocodiles, the cockatoo, and everything else. The chickens, the ducks, we all had those. You know, chickens and ducks. If you grew up when I grew up, you had chickens and ducks, and you had a dog. But why have a dog? Why just have a dog when you can eat a dog?
Away from the dinner table, I was introduced to dog meat, tough, snake meat, tougher, and roasted grasshopper, crunchy.
Have you had any of those? Have you eaten dog or snake meat or grasshopper? I mean, one thing we can all unite on is a dog. He had a dog, I had a dog. There, let's leave it at that. No. He had to let us know that he had a dog and he ate it. I don't know if he was in the shadow of the monkey god while he did it. If we can elect a guy who ate Lassie, has a pet monkey, Tutu, Lolo, 2 crocodiles, and worshiped the monkey god for a while, I think we're pretty open-minded. What do you think? I think we're open-minded, people who are a little different than most of us. But wait, there's more. You haven't even begun to meet the rest of the family. His real mother was a socialist during the Cold War. His real dad was a communist during the Cold War, but not just any communist, a communist from Kenya. When his father beat it and went back to Africa, his childhood mentor was a notorious communist, but not just any notorious communist that could be picked up by the FBI at any time. He was also a communist, erotic, hardcore porn novel writer and poet named Frank Marshall Davis. Do you know anybody who has that? But wait, he also has the stepbrother, George, who's currently living in a hut in Africa in total squalor. His sister is an illegal immigrant who lives in Boston and in poverty. And how about his friends? Well, he and his friends formed something called the Choom Gang. That's a group of kids that smoke pot, talked about Marxist principles, and just raged, you know, kind of like you, about the stifling constraints of the bourgeois society. And, of course, there were his imaginary composite girlfriends that he later wrote about in his book. And did I mention that he's not black, he's not white, he's black and white? I mean, whoa, are the cards stacked against this guy? An Indonesian stepdad named Lolo, grandma named Tutu, a pet monkey named Tata, Hanuman, the demon-fighting monkey god. Mom's a socialist, dad's a Kenyan communist mentor. He's also a communist mentor, porn writer. Impoverished brother, illegal immigrant sister, part of a druggie game with a crappy name, and psychotically creating fictional girlfriends in his spare time. And his stepfather had a peanut in his pocket for the monkey on a leash, and he's still the President of the United States and the most powerful man on earth. Whoa! If we all just had a peanut in our pocket, we could relate. Do we live in a great country or what? What's that? The monkey god says yes. Now, I'm sure I could stop there. And your jaw would be on the floor, amazed, convinced, yes, whoa, America is a pretty cool place. They're pretty cool with people with exotic backgrounds. But why stop there? Because there's more. This guy was exotic. He was born in Hawaii. Okay, when I was growing up, it was exotic to go to Hawaii. He grew up in Hawaii. And if that's not exotic enough, he was sent over to Hawaii from Indonesia, where he spent most of his childhood. And he didn't step foot on mainland America for the first time until he was 18 years old. So that means this guy has no childhood memories of the 4th of July. No 4th of July picnics, no Memorial Day, no parades. No, this guy spent his childhood hanging out with Hanuman, the demon fighting god, and eating dogs and snakes in Indonesia. Did I show you the plate of snake meat? Oh, it's delicious. As long as you wash it down with whiskey or something. Is there anything that could make this story even more incredible? Glad you asked. Yes, there is. He was given a perfectly normal name, Barry. He was growing up in the 1970s. We all know famous Barrys like Barry Manilow, right? Barry White. But he thought, no, I need something a little more mainstream. Not Fred, not Jim, not Ned, not Billy, not Bob, not John. No, he needed one that maybe could get him elected. So he changed his name to Barack. And as if that's not funny sounding enough, he chose the last name Obama. At the time he changed it, it was fine. But when we elected him president, us closed-minded Americans looked at that name just one letter off from the most hated name in American history, Osama, and elected him. But if that wasn't far enough, this country is so into everybody being exactly the same and so stifling to anyone who had anything different, they went to his middle name, Hussein, Barack Hussein Obama. So he has not the name of one, but two of the most hated and despicable people in the world's history who, at the time we elected this man president, we were at war with. Let's put this into perspective. This is a little like trying to run for president in 1943 and having you change your name to Adolf, Stalin, Mussolini, Hitler, and everybody go like, yeah, I can elect that guy. It wouldn't have happened. You might be a great guy, but I don't think you're going to be president of the United States. It happened now. It happened for President Barack Hussein Obama at a time of war. Don't tell me we're closed-minded. If it can happen to the guy with one more time, an Indonesian stepdad named Lolo, a grandma Tutu, pet monkey Tata, pet ducks, chickens, dogs, that sometimes you eat, the snakes that sometimes you also eat, the birds of paradise, the cockatoo, the baby crocodile, Hanuman, the demon-fighting monkey god statue, a mom who's a socialist, dad's a Kenyan communist, his mentor is a communist porn writer, he's got an impoverished brother who's living in a hut, an illegal immigrant at this time in our country who's living in Boston, he's part of a druggy game with a crappy name, he's psychotically creating fictional girlfriends in his spare time, he changes his name to nearly mirror that of America's most hated and notorious enemies who are currently we're at war with, and he's elected. Whew. That's a fairy tale. Wait a minute, that's what Bill Clinton told us. Bill Clinton told us, God bless him, that's a fairy tale.
Well, how could you say that when you said in 2004 you didn't know how you would have voted on the resolution? You said in 2004 there was no difference between you and George Bush on the war, and you took that speech you're now running on off your website in 2004, and there's no difference in your voting record and Hillary's ever since. Give me a break. This whole thing is the biggest fairy tale I've ever seen.
It's a fairy tale. Actually, it's not a fairy tale. It's really more like a Dr. Seuss book, really. I mean, he grew up with a monkey god statue and a Pfeiffer, Pfeffer, Pfeff. And he went to Whoville, and here in Whoville, he heard the Who's singing with their pop guns and bicycles and roller skates, drums, checkerboards, tricycles, popcorn, and plums. And there was Lolo with a peanut in his hand for Tata. America, like every other country, has some small-minded people, but for once and for all, a guy whose life encompassed all of this. Can we just get him to admit that we don't have a problem with people who are slightly or enormously different than us? I think it's safe to say we already have the America that Obama says he wants to create. He just won't recognize it. Does he have a peanut in his pocket? Of all people, he should know that we are not people that are bigoted, that look at people and say, oh no, you ate dog? I can't elect you. He doesn't need to create it. Just recognize it, President Obama. That's why I said at the beginning, I want you to remember the one thing, who we really are. We are decent, open-minded, God-fearing and apparently sometimes monkey God-fearing people. That's who Americans really are.